Hey, Rick, what'd you eat last night?
I had what was called a spring harvest flatbread, Kate. It was actually really good. It was on a tiny, crispy flatbread. It had green garlic pesto, and then local peas, broccoli, Swiss chard, morel mushrooms, and local asparagus, ricotta, and a Gruyere Mornay. It was so wonderful.
Oh, my God. I'm salivating.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It was amazing.
I prefer it without the mushrooms, but I could tolerate them if I had to.
Yeah, and a Mornay sauce it's French, and it's like a bechamel sauce with shredded or added grated Gruyere cheese in it. And on top of all that was a crispy capers, which I also love because I like capers. I don't always love them because they're a little mushy. But when they were lightly fried, wow, they were so great. I could eat a lot more of them. Because I never particularly liked the texture of capers.
Yeah. Where'd you have that?
This is at this place called Our Harvest in Delaware.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was really spectacular. And you're right, all this combination of foods and plus the Gruyere Mornay and then the green
That's what
pesto.
tipped it over the edge was the Mornay. Yeah. It's crazy.
Stunning. How about you? What did you eat?
Well, now I don't even want to tell you because it's pitiful. Seems so sad in contrast. I had soft cooked eggs from my Instant Pot over a spinach salad that I made.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute. Thank you. Yes, it's nice. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realize it came out that way.
I'm probably projecting.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure you were. I get it, yeah.
Yeah, so I love how the Instant Pot does eggs, and I finally can do soft-boiled, they're not boiled, they're whatever, steamed, soft, but they feel like soft-boiled eggs, and so you get the runny yolk situation and the cooked white, which I love, and so they were delicious on my spinach salad. It was great, but it wasn't like an awesome spinach salad. It didn't have bacon or anything like super yummy, but it was fine.
Nice.
It was good. It was all right.
Hit a lot of buttons, vegetables, protein.
That's right.
We like that.
Yeah, it was functional. Yeah.
Totally. Hello and welcome to another episode of You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. I am Rick Fiore.
And I'm Kate DeVore.
And this is our ongoing conversation about food, health, weight management, and our endeavor to be and stay healthy in a really tasty world.
With love, kindness, and compassion towards ourselves and others. We have a really interesting show for you today, and before we get to it, we have a request for you, and that is to rate and review this podcast right now or as soon as you're finished, because it helps other people find us. And we know that people are enjoying the show, and we want more people to be able to find us. So rate and review us, please. Also follow us on the socials. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and our website is youwon'tbelievewhatIate.com, and you can always email us at youwon'tbelievewhatIate@gmail.com. Tell us what you ate last night. Tell us how you're feeling about it now. Give us suggestions for episodes you'd like to hear. Tell us things you want to hear us talking about.
Oh, Kate, I have to interrupt you. Janice just walked in with a new story.
Oh, did she? Is she on her feet? That's great.
She's on a little roller with 4 wheels, and she's just sliding around the office.
Okay, that seems about more right.
And just the way honeymooners have tin cans tied behind them, she seems to have picked up several wine bottles that are just following her in.
Clank, 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 clank.
But listen,
I'm glad she made it to work.
This is a breaking news story. I thought you'd appreciate this one. Are you ready? It appears mushrooms are the new kale.
Oh, man.
Yeah, some medical experts in the wellness area have become completely obsessed with the healing powers of mushrooms, even saying that eating medicinal mushrooms is the single most important thing that you can do for your health. Isn't that interesting?
What is a medicinal mushroom? Are they talking about psilocybin?
I'm so glad. What did you just call me?
Psilocybin is what magic mushrooms contain that make you hallucinate.
Those did not come up in my research.
Okay.
Here's what I will tell you.
They're the only kind of mushrooms I like. Well, I don't even like them. They're disgusting, but they have their place.
When we say medicinal mushrooms, we don't mean the cute little white button ones when you pick up in a blue container at Whole Foods. So what's interesting is they have 4 listed here, of which I only knew one, which I thought was interesting, which is shiitake. And I always knew those were very important mushrooms to include in my diet, and it's still the primary one that I like. This other one called Reishi. It's R-E-I-S-H-I.
I think those are the little teeny ones, aren't they?
I don't know. I didn't look them up. I
think reishi mushrooms are little itty bitty ones.
They're good with they're helping with anti-stress, and they're good with helping with sleep. Lion's mane, which I have had before, is supposed to be really important, the brain boosting and mental focus. And then cordyceps, which is supposed to help with fatigue and improves endurance. I was like,
who is saying this, and where did they get this information?
These are all over the new wave medical blogs. That I don't have. I didn't keep that, unfortunately.
All right.
But this brings us to our topic today. Hot topics. We're talking about hot topics. We're talking about things, stories, ideas that, are current, are hip, and important to us.
Hip. Nothing says hip like saying hip.
Thanks, Grandma.
Right.
You were a fan of the Friends series, correct?
I was.
Yes.
I was.
So it's been on Netflix for several years, and it's recently come to Netflix in London. And ever since that, for some reason, millennials are really rising up and complaining and are shocked and appalled at how a lot of things have been handled on that show. They've been expressing reservations about the popular sitcom storylines. Like, they describe it as transphobic, homophobic, sexist, and most importantly, where I brought it up here, is for fat shaming over the whole idea of Monica and how apparently she was, I guess, fat when she was younger.
Yeah, and in fact, when you said you love Friends, the reason I said it with a touch of hesitation in my voice is because it does not hold up for those reasons.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
I agree. When I see it now in reruns, I'm like, good Lord, how was that acceptable to me?
Really?
So yeah, it was. Yes, they would. And in fact, Courtney Cox wore a fat suit on more than one episode.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was super fat shaming all the way around. They had a neighbor across the hall called Ugly Naked Guy, and we never saw Ugly Naked Guy, but they would see him out their window and they would be complaining about him. And one of the premises of that was that Ugly Naked Guy was fat and that he should be keeping that to himself, even though he was in his own apartment.
Wow. Now, for clarification, I have not seen an entire episode of Friends.
Yeah, so that is so weird.
If you hear me oohing and ahhing over this conversation about really, wow, that's why.
Yes, it's not disingenuous. He has never seen Friends or Seinfeld, right?
Or Seinfeld, yeah. I was with Friends this weekend, and there's another show I never saw anything of, and they were completely shocked. I can't remember what it is, though.
Nothing has been as shocking to me in terms of lack of watching as Friends and Seinfeld with you, yeah.
One of the other sort of hot topics going around that broke is this story coming out of Kansas City. The Kansas City Health Department threw away, and they poured bleach on and threw away food meant for the homeless people. So there are these services that will go around to homeless areas serving food out of their van. And it's basically food that people have made in the bottom of their church, right? Or they've made in their home. And they literally have little, what do you call those, things with sternos,
hot plates.
Hot plates, and they have the plastic styrofoam containers, and they will drive around from parks where homeless people gather. They'll give them a little container and scoop up the food and let them take it away. And so in this particular instance, the food was going to be distributed by a group called Free Hot Soup KC, and this is in the Kansas City Star, which included home cooked chili, foil wrapped sandwiches, and vats of soup, and it was all destroyed during a coordinated sting at several parks where homeless people and the volunteers wanting to feed them are known to gather. The health department said that the group did not have a permit and was putting people at risk.
Oh. Well, that's an interesting topic, isn't it? Because I guess in theory that might be true. That somebody could be nefariously trying to poison homeless people, I suppose. It just seems like, God. But, I mean, people go shoot up nightclubs all the time. Like, It doesn't seem any weirder. Yeah. In some ways, maybe. I don't know. But, God.
I'm sort of blown away because in D.C. there's definitely 2 or 3 parks that I walk by consistently for years, where there's always a white van, and they're feeding people out of it. And I know it's a church group that's just decided to go make food and bring it to the homeless. And the line for this food is so unbelievable. It makes me so sad. I'm like, oh my God, it makes me sad because I'm like, these are the people on the ground trying to do the real work. And what I love is anything I could find in this article, I couldn't actually find anything about the real conversation. Well, what are we doing about the homeless? Well, how do we make this a possibility? Because I'm sure permits are expensive.
Yeah.
The permit that they needed to do this. Because I'm sure that ties into the whole thing about if you're going to get a permit to make food, you have to make sure you have the right kitchen. You have to make sure you have all the things in place. I'm sure that's completely, I would think, is not possible for a lot of organizations.
Yeah. There's an actor in town here called Joe Faust who does something that he just calls lunches for the homeless, I think, homeless lunches. And he just makes a bunch of sandwiches and rides around on his bike and gives out sandwiches.
Really?
Yes.
That is so beautiful.
I know. And he used to do peanut butter and jelly and bologna. And he said that universally that his experience was people prefer the peanut butter and jelly to the bologna.
Yeah.
And when he asked them about that, the reason is two reasons really surfaced. One is that it felt like home.
Aww.
It was nostalgic. The peanut butter and jelly reminded them of stuff they had in their childhood. And apparently in jail, they give you bologna. And so the bologna made them think of jail.
Interesting, Kate. I have not been to jail, but I know that they serve bologna a lot in jail.
Why do you know that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wow. That's so amazing.
Yeah, totally. So apparently peanut butter and jelly is the thing. Yeah.
Wow. And it really brings up to me this whole question of, like, when the story you just told, what are the small things you can do for the homeless? You know what I mean? Particularly if they're sitting outside a restaurant that you're going into and out of repeated daily. I know a lot of people are asking for money, and really in the last 2 years, because the homeless situation is getting worse in this country, I've been much better about making sure I carry around change or bills and just hand them out. Like, I don't think anything of it right now. I'm like, if I got it, you got it, and I just want to do it. And
It's interesting.
I was going to say
Sorry,
the other thing
ahead.
I've been doing is, I haven't done yet, but I've seen people do is, I've heard homeless people asking if can you buy me a sandwich? Can you buy me a sandwich? And I've seen people go in and do it. That's like a great thing.
Yeah, I've done that a number of times because that's what my dad used to do. And so I guess that's probably why that's what I do. And there's some folks that hang out outside at Trader Joe's that I sometimes go to. And so I will get them a sandwich and stuff in there. But it's funny because when I grew up, it was like, don't give money to the homeless. You're not supposed to give money to the homeless. And now I don't think we're saying that anymore, are we? I think we're saying it's okay now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Because here's the thing. I get why that whole thing about, not give money to the homeless, but those other services aren't there anymore. They've been cut so drastically federally and on a state level that people don't have the services they had 4 years ago.
And I think the premise was they're just going to spend it on alcohol or drugs. Mm-hmm. And my personal opinion at this point is, well, who the hell am I to judge?
Exactly.
And even if that is what happens, I don't know.
Is what happened, and I'm not doing anything else about the situation, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give them money.
Yeah, because it is true. So many times I don't carry cash anymore, or I have like a 20 tucked away and I'm not feeling that generous, or whatever. But, they're going to soon, they're going to be out there with little square processing.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
You just swipe your card, ma'am.
And I made a point of making sure the last time I was at the bank, because I actually still have to occasionally go to the bank for my work stuff, that I got $40 bills. And then that gave me enough time to make sure that as I went to the store and got money back, that I could start accumulating more singles. So that's been working for me. Mm-hmm. This is the other hot topic I wanted to bring up to you. I thought you might be excited about because, well, I don't know if excited is the right word because I know how you feel about this dish. But KFC, chicken and waffles, they're thinking about rolling it out nationally. You could just see Kate's face. She sort of just took a big inhale and shook her head. So the chain, are you ready? Finally, this is what the news is. KFC is finally testing chicken and waffles. Look, it's a chicken restaurant. You know how long it's been in business? How could it take them so long to get the waffles?
Because it's a stupid pairing? Maybe that's why?
Now, when I see people order it, I'm always like, God, there's something good about that. But then no one I know ever really likes it.
I know I'm in the minority. People do seem to love it. And I really tried. I gave it the college try. I waited a long time before I tried it because I'm like, that does not sound good to me, but okay. Because I don't like sweet and savory mixed all the time. Like, I don't like to dip my sausage in maple syrup, which a lot of people do, or bacon. Like, that's gross to me. So I'm like, I don't know that I want maple syrup on my fried chicken. That seems weird. But enough people were like, this is the best thing ever, that I tried it multiple times, and I kept being like, well, it must just be this one I didn't like. And then ultimately I'm like, I do not like those things together. I just don't prefer it.
So they're testing it in 3 cities, North Carolina, Charlotte and Asheville, North Carolina, and then one in South Carolina, Greenville. Get this, the meal comes with 2 pieces of chicken, either bone-in dark meat or boneless chicken tenders, and a thick Belgian waffle about the size of your hand. It's served with a side of Mrs. Butterworth syrup.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't it adorable?
That it's Mrs. Butterworth's.
They hit a lot of notes in that description.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure it will be very successful.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. We're going to see how it shakes out.
So I have one hot topic to bring up here, which is the movie Can You Ever Forgive Me? Wait, is that what it's called? Did I say it right?
Let me check. I have it here. Give me 1 second.
Can You Ever Forgive Me? With Melissa McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
And she is that the right title? And she is playing, well, I don't want to give too much away, but I think in the premise, everybody understands that she's a writer, we'll say, who,
yes.
I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to spoil the movie. But it's a dramatic movie in which she is playing the dramatic lead, which is what's interesting because we very rarely see people of size, particularly women of size, in a dramatic lead that is not absurd.
Yeah, so when this first movies first started being previewed and you had said that you were going to go see it, I said that I was very excited about seeing it because I was finally able to see a preview with a large woman in it that's not falling over and tripping.
Exactly. You said something like something about let me know how the pratfalls are or something like that.
I don't know how I could process it if she's not pratfalling up and down New York.
Exactly, right? Yeah. I do have to say, they really messed up on that wig.
Well, yeah, that was tough.
I don't understand. So they still managed to make her look ridiculous. Now, I understand the character is supposed to be sort of nebbishy and all of that, but really, that wig was absurdly bad.
Oddly, I felt like it was in place of a fat suit.
Oh, I see.
Like, in a weird way, we had to let someone know how terrible it was, or something was terrible, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We had to make it clear that there was something not right with this person.
So one of the things I had said to Kate about this movie is I was so amazed. There's a scene towards the end where she's just sitting in a coffee shop or something. And there's just a full frame shot of her. And they're just showing everything of her. Because it's not, it's a little bit to the, she's sitting at a table and they're shooting her from the side. So you can actually see her figure, her hips, her thighs, everything. And I remember being so struck by the fact that I don't recall seeing someone playing a role like that already big without being in a fat suit or, as we know, having put on how many pounds? 50, 60, 100 pounds to play that role.
They're very brave.
If we, go ahead, take it.
No, that was it.
If we have to listen to one more person say how brave someone was to put on weight to play a fat person, we are going to riot.
Riot!
So it's interesting, and I remember being very struck by that. I'm like, I was taken out of the movie because that's how abnormal it is for them to be taken seriously just as someone who is that way.
Yeah. Right. And it was amazing that they never talked about it in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't
a thing.
That's the other thing. Like you always, whenever there's, like even on This Is Us, right? So you have the very overweight character of Kate on This Is Us, but her weight is a big part of the storyline. They talk about it all the time. And Toby, her partner, who's overweight also, it's a big premise. So we never just have big people who are just big people and the storyline isn't about their size.
Yeah. Good point.
Hey, did you know?
Hey, Kate, did you know that shellac is an important ingredient in jelly beans?
No.
Yeah. Hey, Kate, do you know what shellac is?
I thought I did, but apparently if it's in jelly beans, I don't.
Well, shellac is a type of finishing product that is typically used to improve the shine of wood and furniture. Like, I don't want to keep reading after this.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I thought it was, but
Right.
that's why I thought that can't be what's in jelly beans.
Oh, let's bring it back to the jelly bean, shall we?
Yes, let's.
However, it can also be used to improve the shine of certain foods, such as jelly beans. Where does the shellac come from? Why, it's secreted by an insect in Thailand called the Caria icca, of course. Caria icca, I-A-C-C-A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather that it's secreted by an insect than that it's a bunch of toxic chemicals.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
This is a really great segue to another hot topic I had, which is what came out.
Wait, before you say
Yes.
that, the last thing I will say is we have to acknowledge that she was a nut job. The character was
Yeah.
still a nut job. So there is still that. She wasn't just a normal romantic lead or a normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was still that. But at least we have to take what we can get, and we're happy about the representation. And we think everyone should go see the movie. Because also it was actually a good movie
Yeah.
once you get past the wig.
And I remember
All right.
thinking, wow, I wonder, for the first time I wasn't thinking, I wonder what it'll be like when she loses the weight. How is she going to lose that weight? Will it be hard for her to lose the weight that she put on for the role?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And nor were we thinking about the character's weight because it wasn't discussed. It wasn't important. She just was a person.
Yes.
Imagine.
Perfectly said. You had mentioned This Is Us star Chrissy Metz. So what came out this year as the show returned is that she confirmed that she confirmed that she has a weight clause in her contract.
Oh.
And let's see, it says that what's in her contract is that she will have to go on the same weight loss journey that apparently Kate is going to go on. So I assume she's going to go on a weight loss journey. And the idea is it'll be done.
Oh.
And they weren't sure, but they contacted, I forget who the producer's name on. She says, yeah, it's definitely a conversation that we've had, and it's in my contract, Metz tells People, emphasizing that both she and Kate will be shaping up in a healthy manner. She later clarified to Harper's Bazaar that there's no goal weight or deadline she's obligated to achieve. And then they go on to confirm this with, I think, one of the producers, and the producer Fogelman says, we have a general long-term plan that we've talked about, and we will adjust the plan as needed, Fogelman confirmed to the Hollywood Reporter. I mean, that's life, right? I don't know what that statement meant. So I thought this was interesting because this is a role, obviously, where it's the direct opposite of what we just talked about. Weight is a very big part of who this character is. Mm-hmm. And it's been really wonderful I often feel plus size people, no matter how they get on screen, it's a great thing. And if it has to be because there's a specific issue in the script that calls for it, sure, I'm still down with that. Mm-hmm. And then it also, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're saying. She
goes on to say that that you should mark your calendar because Metz's new movie, Breakthrough, will hit the big screen in the coming months. It follows the true story of a mother who used prayer to resuscitate her son, and it has nothing to do with weight. A welcome change for Metz.
Oh, well, good. Good for her.
She says, people are still surprised that a big girl could be on TV. And it's like, ugh, really? Really? She told Glamour. There's so much other stuff to talk about.
That's true.
So ideally, hopefully it'll be another example of just a plus-size person where weight isn't the major thing or a thing about the character. And I thought that was really great.
It's almost like large people just exist in the world, having normal lives. That would be nuts, though. But you know what I thought you were going to say when you said there's a weight clause? I thought you were going to say that there was a clause that said she had to maintain her weight and that she couldn't lose weight, which happened, I know I remember the stories of the movie Hairspray with Ricki Lake.
Yes.
Back in whenever that was, the 80s. Mm-hmm. And I remember her saying they were sort of effectively force-feeding her milkshakes in the course of the shooting because she was dancing so much and working so much that she was losing a lot of weight. And they were like, nope, you can't lose the weight.
Wow.
And they were making, because it was, of course, a character, part of the character, as we've discussed, which it usually is. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear at least it's that, I guess.
Yeah, because honestly, when I was prepping this episode, this is an issue I was thinking was a hot topic for me. So I actually looked her up specifically because I'm like, oh, I bet they have a weight clause in her contract, but not the one I expected.
Good.
It's so funny you bring up Ricki Lake because, Kate, that's a perfect segue to the next conversation, which is a hot topic, which is, so recently, someone we love, Rebel Wilson, was
we
sort of...
We do love Rebel Wilson.
What'd you say?
I said we do love Rebel Wilson.
So she was recently eviscerated on Twitter. Do you know anything about this?
No.
So she said on the Ellen DeGeneres show that she was there to discuss her new film Isn't Romantic. She claimed that she was the first ever plus-size girl to be the star of a romantic comedy. In a tweet that has since received 16,000 likes, a Twitter user corrected her, referencing both Queen Latifah and Monique. They both starred respectively in The Last Holiday in 2010, and Monique was in Fat Girls that came out in 2006. So this also segues because one of the other people, plus-size women that no one ever talked about, is Ricki Lake from Hairspray, right? She's another one.
Yeah.
And so Wilson then further criticism. This is so interesting, Kate. She earned further criticism when she defended the comment on Twitter, saying, yeah, of course I know of these movies, but it was questionable as to whether, one, technically those actresses were plus size when filming these movies, and two, technically if those films are categorized billed as a studio rom-com with a sole lead, she wrote. So many on Twitter accused Wilson of ignoring the achievements of black women and blocking them when she pointed it out. So she apparently started blocking people. And so what's great is basically Monique got into the conversation. Monique was really done. And she basically said something, well, this is exactly what she said. She said, hey, my sweet sister, let's please not allow this business to erase our talent with giving gray areas and technicalities. Take a moment and know the history. Don't be part of erasing it. I wish you the best. So there is this idea that somehow Rebel Wilson wasn't considering any other large size, plus size women based on these technicalities, which I also thought was really, really interesting because you and I have both said it twice. We've both said it in this episode. Well, and at some point you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, and I wonder if she really just wasn't thinking of black women. I wonder if that really was the case.
I'm going to say yes. I don't know her personally, but I just think that's the tendency. Well,
and she's Australian, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that whole part in there. I don't know. Yeah. Did you see that Queen Latifah one that you just talked about?
No.
The holiday thing?
No.
I think I saw it on an airplane. It was surprisingly good.
Really?
Yeah, she was really good in it, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, she was really good. But it's true, I don't think of her as a plus-size woman the way I think of Rebel Wilson as a plus-size woman. So there is that, and it's not because she's black, it's because she's smaller.
Yeah.
And so, there's also that.
And this conversation
What's the definition?
This conversation came up with friends this weekend, and it literally came out of my mouth. Well, what is a plus-size woman? Is she fat enough to be... You know what I mean? Those words actually came out. Is she fat enough? Was she fat enough to be, considered plus size? So when I looked it up, the only thing I could find on the internet is that plus size means larger than normal, which wasn't very helpful.
Well, in that case, then, they are. Well, and certainly Monique is.
Yeah, totally. And once again, Monique handled herself so well in the midst of controversy. I love her.
Yeah, that was a lovely tweet.
Yeah. And, of course, this brought me to this other thing which was a hot topic that I thought was so interesting in relation to everything else we've just talked about, which is there is a Philadelphia Eagles starter. His name is Mike Wallace. He will earn $585,000 extra if he stays under 250 pounds per his contract.
Wow.
He has the new wide receiver, Mike Wallace, will have a chance to earn $585,000 if he weighs in at less than 250 pounds, according to our league source. That is a full 50 pounds lighter than Wallace's listed weight on the team roster, and which is an indication that he could easily cash in what is to believe the largest payout, or what largest clause incentive payout for a player contracted in the offseason.
Do we know what his pay is if he doesn't?
No, I just think this would be in addition to whatever his base contract value is.
Which is probably millions obviously, right? Yeah.
So my mind went to, I've never heard or remember any type of payout like this for women in any shape or form. And that's just where my mind went. I don't know if that's true or not. So I thought that was sort of interesting. And then I just thought,
all that makes me think of is that joke that Tina Fey and, when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosted was it Oscars a few years back? That was so funny. They hosted some award show. It was either the Oscars or the Emmys. They were talking about how some actor, it was Matthew McConaughey when he lost all that weight to play the guy with AIDS and how he couldn't eat and he had to lose all that weight.
Dallas
or
Buyers
blah, blah, blah.
Club.
Yes, exactly. And she said something like, or what women call being in a movie. So the point is, no, they don't get incentive to do it. They just don't get hired if they don't.
Exactly.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, totally. And I just thought, God, this whole thing that exists in paying people in relation to their weight, it just made me start thinking, well, Rick, how much would someone have to agree to pay you to lose probably the poundage that you have to lose? And I was really wondering, would that make me do it? Because I feel like there's been so many other things that I've tried to do it for, and I think far more important things than money, like, you know, my health, and I still haven't done it. So I'm like, what would the top dollar be for me?
Did you come up with an answer?
No, I didn't.
There is some website, something, I don't know if it still exists, that does pay you to lose weight. It's something where you sign up, you give money. It's like some kind of communal thing, like everybody pays in their money, and if you meet your goals, you get money. I can't remember what it's called, but I remember looking into it.
you talking about this.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And it's based on the premise that most people clearly will fail because that's where the money comes from, is the pot. You know, it's like a pool, sort of.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because it made me think in my head how many times I've gone to say, I'm going to lose weight for this. Say it's an event or a trip, and how much the minute any sort of imposed deadline comes on my weight loss, I fail miserably. So I'm not sure I'd have much hope out for, I don't know, $500,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the final thing I wanted to close with here is, this is a fun hot topic I thought you'd appreciate after we did our little Starbucks episode, is that Starbucks has started selling salted caramel brownie hot chocolate.
Oh,
I'm going to say it again. Salted caramel brownie hot chocolate. And this is only in, let's see, it's in London. The salted caramel brownie hot chocolate is steamed milk, mocha, combined with the rich salted caramel sauce. It's topped with the salted caramel brownie flavored whipped cream.
Oh, okay.
With brownie crumbles and salted caramel brittle pieces.
Oh.
So they're testing it, and they're hoping it may be making it to the States, people.
Would you buy that?
I would buy that in. Well, yeah, that in a heartbeat. Yeah, because of hot chocolate. Because you know there's only one
Yeah,
thing
because
I
you
can
don't
really
like
get.
coffee.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I would try that in a heartbeat.
The only part I want of that is the salted caramel brittle. Like, I just want that by itself.
Yeah.
I don't need the rest of it.
That sounds good. Well, those are our hot topics, people. We hope you enjoyed them.
Please write in. What hot topics are you noticing? What do you think is interesting that has to do with weight or health or being healthy in a tasty world with love, kindness, and compassion? Let us know your thoughts, and we'll put it in a future episode.
And this is our final episode of year 3 of our podcast, You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. We just wanted to take this time to say that we'll be off for a couple weeks. We'll see you again in January.
Can you believe it's been 3 whole years? Those of you who have been with us from the beginning, and those of you that haven't, look at all the amazing episodes you have to go back and check out. We're going to play a couple of reruns over the next couple of times that we would normally release it, so we're not going to leave you hanging. There's still going to be an episode. You might have heard it, you might not, but we're going to be back with you live with new episodes back in January.
And we know we have a lot of new listeners out there, so we appreciate you joining us. So as Kate said, definitely go out and check out those new episodes.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.